So this is the set pieces project. And the first picture up here is, back in the good days where you could celebrate when goals were scored and everyone ran out in the field. I like to celebrate. I hope that each of you are planning celebrations that involve you keeping your shirt on, that you're planning celebrations for our first game, that you have a celebration plan for when you score a goal, like running over and like scoring a goal and running off. I do that most of the time. It's something that I realize I could do better at. If you watch the MASL games, right, when they score, almost every player, when they score, they have a celebration. They celebrate with the fans. They get involved. They have something predetermined what they're going to do, and it really adds to the experience to the fans that come out to the games. And from a minor league perspective, that's what we play. We play at a minor league level. From a minor league perspective, you need to do something to stand out. And for people to keep coming back to games, they need to have a positive experience. So when you celebrate a goal, I love it. I do. And I do appreciate when you guys, have something planned. Some of you guys do. I don't always, obviously. And I run off the field and I'm like, oh, I should have celebrated when I scored. Given that this sport is such a momentum-based sport, more than I feel like an outdoor, more even than futsal. There's just something about the environment, arena soccer, right, of just playing in this confined space with walls, that you've seen teams go on 4 or 5 goal runs very frequently. And when you get the momentum, you feel it. You feel like this team isn't going to score, or we're about to score another one. And you guys have experienced that feeling before. So set pieces are a big part of that, because giving up a set piece could change the momentum of the game. By scoring off a set piece, that could change the momentum of a game. And especially if it's like you give up a dumb set piece, like a top of the arc free kick, and they score a goal off of it, and we're like, what the heck? That was so dumb, right? And then we pass the ball to kickoff, dump it in the corner, and the ball ends up in the keeper's hands as the keeper throws it down the field. They have a counterattack because we committed 2 guys high, and they score another goal, right? Immediately, the other team has that momentum and they're going to start pressing. The game gets so much harder for you because now they're not sitting back. They're like, let's get this game. And you guys have experienced that too. So the momentum's huge when it comes to the game, and set pieces do play a huge role in the momentum. So with that, this was either at the end of a quarter or after a goal was scored and went out in the field. And it looks like overall a positive experience, that guys are, going out there celebrating and, giving each other high fives. I enjoy that environment. I enjoy it. And I know a lot of you guys actively try to promote that sort of environment where we're bringing up each other. For those of you guys who are not on the roster for this weekend, I highly, highly, highly expect you to be there as well. If you've said, hey, I can come to the game, if you don't make the roster, I expect you to be there at the game still. And one of the biggest reasons is we need your support. And you are valuable. You are valuable. You have no idea the time and effort that goes into selecting a roster and making sure that guys are, the people that we select sometimes aren't always the right guys, and we make mistakes and we put different factors go into selecting a roster. But when we have your support and you're there supporting your teammates and you're help building this culture, and then coming to training and pushing these guys that might be in your role and then fighting for that spot, I see that. I appreciate that, because that was me most of my career, always being the guy that was fighting for a couple minutes of playing time, right here or there. And if it meant being the first person there or helping in any way possible, or just like being the best fitness possible, whatever it took, I was willing to support the team, knowing that my support was needed. I wasn't in the 18-man roster for a game, but I knew I had to be there to support my team and be loud when they scored, and not be there mopey in the corner sitting there like, man, I hope they lose, right? I get that because I felt that way before, but that can't be your reaction. We need to support each other. We need to gain that momentum, and a lot of that momentum is gained through set pieces. So going into the dangerous free kick locations, there's lots of places you can have a set piece from, but there's three specifically that I'm going to talk about tonight. The dangerous locations, one being the top of the arc. And we'll talk about that here briefly. But when it comes to when it comes to general observations, these right here, the dangerous free kick locations, this covers top of the arc free kick, this covers a 3-line violation, and it covers corner kicks. But in general, when you have one of these three attacking opportunities, the objective of it is to determine the most dangerous look, the best look that you can get, and take it. Okay, to set that opportunity up. If you're the person over the ball in a corner, if you're the person over the ball on a top of the arc free kick, if you're the person over the ball on the 3rd line free kick, you are determining, I've put in you, given you responsibility to determine in that situation what you see, to look at the defense and be the quarterback and set someone up. You might end up scoring the goal, but you determine what the most dangerous look is and set up the opportunity. If you don't know who you are, like let's say, oh, I wonder if I'm that guy, then you're not that guy, because I've told you those guys I want over top the ball. There's very specific people that I want to be the quarterbacks and make sure that they're over top of the ball in certain situations, and they're the one assessing those situations. That's not saying that those are the people that are always going to be over the ball, but there's, in most cases, these are the guys. So, determine the most dangerous look, set up the opportunity, and then the other person needs to finish that opportunity. From a defensive perspective, very simply put, we can't concede in those situations. We almost expect to concede, like you should concede in those situations, but you can't concede. Do not concede. Locations, as I mentioned, the top of the arc free kick, which is right. I guess I'll look at this side right here. Top of the arc free kick is right here. I'm sorry, top of the arc free kick is right here. The 3rd line free kick is right here. And the corners are either here or there. Now, on the field that we play on, our home field, this is what the arc looks like. This box, this line does not exist. We're working on that. Obviously, it's not our field, so we're not going to be taking over and putting all these lines on the field. But on game day, we have to determine what the rule is. I say that because that could dictate and determine where the wall sets up, right? That could determine how quickly the wall is set up. It's very easy to say, hey, back up to that line by referee, but if they have to like pace it off every time, that gives us a little bit more time. That's valuable to know. All right, so from these three locations, 1, 2, and then either corner, right? Best location I can possibly think of is top of the arc. Some important observations, and feel free to chime in on this if you have anything to add, because some of these observations came from you guys. Okay, some important observations. Set up as soon as possible. In the top division MASL, when the ball goes out of play for a top of the arc free kick, they have to then get the ball from the fans, bring it back down, give it to the referee, to have the referee go through this bigger field, put the ball down, and then start it. In our league, every team we play has nets along the side of the field, which means that if they kick the ball out, it's going to hit the net. It's going to drop right there. The referee grabs it, jogs over, puts it down, and starts counting. We learned that the hard way last year a lot of times, where guys just weren't ready. When we get a top of the arc free kick or get any of these three types of free kicks, we need to set up as soon as possible from an offensive and a defensive perspective. This is just general for all three. We need to set up. The referee's not going to wait for you. He's not going to say, all right, you guys ready? All right, let's take this kick together. He's not going to say that. You only have 4 seconds, right? You don't have 5 if you referee's counting. We had times we had corner kicks last year and the referee goes 1, 2, 3, 4, beep, beep, beep. Other team's ball. And you're like, wait, what? I thought I had 5 seconds. You have 4 seconds, okay? Not 5. If you don't kick the ball in 4 seconds, the referee will call a turnover and it'll be the other team's ball and you're going to get yelled at. Plain and simple. right? When it happens, don't worry about the call. It's so common. It happens. We're so used to the call happening and then like complaining about it, even if it's our kick, and like upset about something. The referee isn't paying attention to you whatsoever. One's going to grab the ball, sets it up, and no one's set up the way they should. Okay. So making sure that we're set up immediately. The referee says we'll back the defensive wall up 15 feet. So typically he'll take 5 steps. Take 5 steps and then back the wall up from there. That's important to know too, where if they're set up right in front of the ball, ask the referee for them to move back, and that gives us a little bit more time to set up. Now, there have been times last year even where the wall is like standing, I feel like 10 feet away, and I tell the referee, hey, can you back them up? And the referee just like shake his head and keep counting. And I'm like, wait, what? So expect that you're going to at times maybe not get what you expect. From a defensive perspective, it is not possible to overcommit defensively. When we set up defensively in our shape, it's not possible to overcommit. Let me give an example here. Okay, let's say they have what kick is this? This is top of the arc free kick. Let's say they have a top of the arc free kick and we're set up like this defensively. If this ball is played this way for someone to take a shot, whoever this guy is needs to commit 100% to sprint out there and lay his body on the line. Some players like do a barrel roll to try and block the shot and run as hard as they can out to block that. And some get made look stupid in the process of it. But you have to overcommit there, because if you don't, they're going to get a wide open look at goal. The reason why we've scored so many goals from the top of the arc free kick is because guys don't overcommit to that shot, and they'll run out there. Even if they run hard, they won't be running as hard as they can and overcommit. So, a ball that gets played out here, a guy might wind up and fake shot and you just go flying past him and then them have an open look. It might happen, right? But you have to commit in that situation because it's almost expected that you get scored on in that situation. We don't want to get scored on, so you have to overcommit. Okay. The person that's the quarterback in these plays, the person that's over top of the ball, they need to disguise the pass and play a flat pass. I see something in the chat. David left the ball mark on me after blocking his shot from there. Yeah, it's going to be hit pretty hard from that distance and be put somewhere on target most likely. Disguise that pass. If you're the person run up to the ball, maybe stutter step, stop for a second, look one way, play the other. Something that's flat and easy for them to hit. If we think from our futsal corner kicks, one of the common plays that we've done in the past is kind of setting a screen for the guy furthest out from the wall and then playing a ball from the corner, a lightly weighted ball that player can hit hard. It's going to be a similar pass that's flat, that's setting up the player for a good shot. It says every attacking player has to anticipate the ball is going to be played to them. In this example right here, right? This is top of the arc free kick. If you have a guy over top the ball, he could play it here or here. Preferably this guy's right-footed, preferably this guy's left-footed. But these two guys, as well as 4 and 5 in these examples, need to expect the ball is coming to them. We're not always going to set up in this shape. I'm going to get to this later. We're not always going to set up in this shape, but this is the beginner 101 of how to set up for a top of the arc free kick. And once we start doing this consistently, we scored a lot of goals off of this like very rudimentary free kick. But if we are looking for options and teams start to catch on what we're doing, we're going to look at other options where, this guy, number 4, needs to be ready for a ball played to him. If he's wide open for an easy tap-in goal, that's awesome, right? We don't even need to play there. So just always anticipate that the ball is coming to you, even if it doesn't come to you. Celebrate those defensive wins. If you commit all out and block that shot off a defensive, off of a top of the arc free kick or a 3-line free kick, if you block it, let's celebrate that. It needs to be loud from the bench. It needs to be loud from everyone on the field, right? We need to celebrate those times. I know we joke with Ken all the time, how he yells, "No, sir," and yells, and he's like always up, and Coy's kind of adopted some of it as well. But, when we do something good defensively, we need to celebrate it like we're scoring a goal because we just saved a goal. If you're watching some futsal at the higher levels too, you see someone make a great defensive stop, and like clear the ball out, even if it looks like just a defensive clearance. And he's like, like celebrating on the court really loudly and with emotion. And that helps get people going. I enjoyed watching several players throughout the World Cup that were just playing great defensively and would celebrate and like beat their chest afterwards after they get a good defensive stop, and hype up their teammates, hype up the fans, and just like overall be like, I'm the man, I'm gonna do this. So with that, celebrate those defensive wins because we shouldn't actually win in those situations. So when you do, we need to celebrate that. Communication needs to come from the goalkeeper. Constantly communicating, all you goalkeepers, when it comes to these set pieces, make sure to set your wall up properly, make sure it's set up quickly, make sure to listen to your goalkeeper too. If you are not listening to him, and things come in and you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to move when I want to move, the free kick's going to be taken, the ball's going to be in the back of the net, and the goalkeeper's going to yell at you. Leo Santana, yeah. There's a bunch of players that celebrate. Even like, I love watching even goalkeepers in futsal making saves, and they're like celebrating super loudly. A lot of times, like in soccer, you see a goalkeeper make a save and he's screaming at his defense, telling him what to do. But I love when you see a goalkeeper. I know I enjoy the goalkeeper yelling at the defense too. That's fun to watch. But seeing him like celebrate, like I just did this, and see the players go celebrate with him too, that's awesome. And like I said, it helps change the momentum of a game. Even if we aren't winning a game, it could be something that helps turn that momentum. Don't just stay in your zone. If your goalkeeper sets you up somewhere, you don't just stand there like a statue and be like, all right, this is where I'm supposed to be, right? Identify all the areas around you. Identify all 5 players on the field, on the other team. Identify where our guys are and realize, hey, look, if there's a rebound, I know where I'm going to go. I was a really big baseball player growing up, and I thought baseball was going to be my like professional sport. I was supposed to play baseball in college. That was my main thing, my 365 sport, every single day of the year, always playing baseball all the way up through high school. And I got burnt out of playing all the time, and I ended up pursuing something that was entirely different, obviously. But one of the things about baseball is when you are out in the field as a fielder, the ball's not always hit to you. But if the ball is hit to you, you need to know so many things. You need to know how many people are on base. You need to know the situation. You need to know how fast the runners are on base. You need to know where to go with the ball. You need to know all these things. And you play through scenarios in your head. I played in the infield. I played in the outfield. Being in the outfield, there would be like entire games where the ball wouldn't get hit to me, right? And the one time the ball gets hit to you, you make a mistake, right? It looks like you're the scrub on the field. So with that, you have to be so locked in and tuned in and know exactly where you're going with the ball and plan every scenario. Be like, all right, the ball gets hit to my left. I need to make sure that I'm cutting off the runner from advancing to third base. So I need to make a throw going to third base. And you're anticipating all these situations in your head. And I'm guessing, I've never played American football, but I'm guessing in many similar ways that a quarterback analyzes each situation as they're looking at each, anticipating what each player is going to do, assessing each option, and then going with their correct option, knowing that when you are in the wall, when you are in a position defensively, you're not just standing there, you're anticipating, all right, if the ball gets shot wide on my side, where am I going? If the ball gets hit off the wall here and gets deflected and they then get possession of the ball, who is my man? Not only am I recognizing this, I'm communicating it with other people. One of the best ways, I mentioned baseball again, like people are constantly communicating, hey, look, 2 down, plays it first. Let's make sure, let's knock the ball down, keep the ball in the infield, go to first. I still coach varsity girls softball. I don't know if you guys know this. I coach high school varsity girls softball. I'm the head coach, and I really enjoy it. It's time away from soccer, away from futsal, but I really enjoy it because there's a lot of similarities in sports in general. But when it comes to just predicting different situations and looking at things, and the communication required in a sport like softball or baseball is very similar to the communication that would be required from a goalkeeper. The communication comes from a catcher in baseball or softball is very similar to the communication from a goalkeeper. It's not uncommon to have our high school girls soccer goalkeeper come be the catcher on the girls softball team, or vice versa. It's happened almost every single year. So with that, that communication is needed from the goalkeeper, and you need to listen to him. Don't just stay where you're at. Don't just stay in your zone and be like, oh, goalkeeper put me here. This is where I'm going to be. Anticipate what the next move is. Do not just tune him out, right? Listen to him. If he has to say it 4 or 5 times, that's not good. Immediately go get up defensively, listen to the goalkeeper. If the goalkeeper sets you up wrong, then that's his fault. And when we review film, we'll recognize that. But listen to him, do what he tells you to do. He can see the whole field. Identify the shot takers, any dangerous players. You guys will recognize very quickly in new players who better players are in this league. There's a lot of returning players for all the teams. Rosters are starting to come in throughout the league. They're sending out rosters, and I'm starting to look at them and comparing them to last year. It's a lot of the same players for Nova, a lot of the same players for Philadelphia, a lot of the same players for Fredericksburg. So it's guys that played last year, and you guys will recognize, like that guy was a decent player, or that guy wasn't very good, or, I can pressure that guy, and start to recognize those matchups and identify, hey, look, I can't let this guy shoot. There's a guy on Fredericksburg that's all left-footed. Some of you guys might know who I'm talking about, right? He's all left-footed. He scored a bunch of goals against us already, but don't let him get the ball on his left foot. He's going to take shots. He does not take shots with his right foot very frequently. So recognizing that. Identify those shot takers and dangerous players in these situations and recognize, hey, look, if that guy's on my side, I'm going to need to overcommit to that player. So now specifically talking about the top of the arc free kick. Okay. First, I have this diagram here. I have these arrows of 2 potential, not the only 2, but 2 very common areas the ball can be played in. There's different iterations of this that we'll go through in the future, but this simple play has worked so many times when guys are in their positions. I can just think immediately of goals that Henry has scored, goals that I've scored, goals that Gavin has scored, goals that Ken have scored off of these situations, where it's just a simple pass that's played in these areas. Notice these passes aren't played a little bit behind. I was kicking myself the other day because I was talking about where the pass should be. And there was a situation where I got over the ball and played Pat, and it was like behind Pat. Like I think Pat was like here, and I played him a ball that was like here when I should have played him in this area closer here when I was the guy over top of the ball. So recognizing these areas that this guy's starting off wide, this number 3, it should be a left-footed guy. This should be a right-footed player, right? If there isn't a left-footed player on the field, then we most likely are not going to play this option, but most teams won't recognize this guy isn't left-footed. They won't anticipate that. Or they might leave this guy open, and like, I guess if you're on this side and they play you a ball and you're not left-footed, probably not in your best interest to take a first-time left-footed shot off this. Most of the time, the ball is going to end up over here somewhere, right? So with that, if the ball is played to you on your right foot, or ball is played to you on this side and you are right-footed, maybe you want to play a first-time right-footed pass to 5 and make a diagonal run in for him to lay it off for you to shoot it. That's a common pattern too. So we'll go through different iterations of this throughout the season, but to start off here, especially for the first game, a lot of new guys, I don't want to throw a lot of things at you. Just recognize we're set up in these areas. Some notes, 4 and 5 are pushed up towards the glass. In some iterations of this, these guys might be a little wider and might be a direct option to like receive the ball. But the purpose of being up against the glass is to not crowd these 2 players. If you're standing off of the glass and the defender is standing next to you, goal side of you, right, he can easily come and support and help block this shot. But if you're against the glass, that might be a step or 2 that you take away from him. If you're standing all the way up here instead of against the glass, you are creating pressure for this guy right here. Sometimes you might just be even just like kind of like off the ball, like just giving this guy a little bit of a tap, a little bit of a push, letting him know that you're there to kind of set the screen for him. Happens all the time. Some notes, as I mentioned, 2 should be right-footed, 3 should be left-footed. If it's not the case, try and switch to that as soon as possible, setting up in these positions. Numbers 4 and 5 should be against the wall, as I already mentioned. 4 and 5, the far side player needs to anticipate the rebound. So, for example, if I'm 1 and I play the ball over to 2 and 2's taking a shot, number 5 needs to be aware, hey, this shot might like bang off the boards here and roll around this way, and I might need to be the first player to get to that. Or, hey, look, if the ball's going here, I might be able to clean up and have a garbage goal by crashing that ball. So recognizing that the far side player is very much in the play. If the ball's played here and the shot is taken from this angle, number 4 is not going to see the ball unless it like hits off someone and falls right at his feet. Most of the time, if the ball gets shot, it's either going to be in the goal, it's going to go hit the net above, or it's going to hit off the far side wall and roll somewhere in here. So far side, be aware and be ready to immediately pressure that ball. The number 1 here needs to recognize his defensive responsibility. If he plays this ball and then like crashes the box and the ball like bangs off the boards and starts rolling in this direction down the field, they're countering on us. Remember, we still only attack with 3 guys and we defend with 2. So in this case right here, if you get the ball on the kick and you play the ball here or here, it doesn't matter which way you play, you're the last man back. So as soon as you play that ball, anticipate that you need to be dropping. The ball's played over to 3, then 2 needs to start to slide back a little bit just in case, and 4 can help clean up anything as needed. So just recognizing that there's times where you might think, hey, look, I'm all the way up the field. I might not have as much of a defensive responsibility as I expect. A lot of times, if you take this free kick and we have 5 guys all in zone 4, we need to hurry up and track back and make sure we're not overcommitting numbers and then counter down the field because we committed too many high. So yes, we want to score, top priority, but do realize that with the walls, if we miss a shot and it bangs off hard enough, it's going to roll right back down this way and they're going to counter on us. Number 1, if they only have 1 player in the wall, like they have 1 player set up here and then like 1 player here, 1 player here, 1 here, 1 here, this 1 is going to back up to here. He's going to run up, chop step, run up and bang this ball and try to put it on target. But 1 person on the wall from that distance, 1, you should score. 2, that's just a dumb move by them because they're basically saying this guy cannot score on me. They put 1 guy in the wall. They might just be dumb and match up and say, all right, play your man, man to man, man to man. Most goalkeepers are going to put at least 2 in the wall. Okay. If they put 3 in the wall, one of these guys is going to be open. I'm guessing in many cases, teams are going to put 2 or 3 in the wall. We're going to put 3, which is going to be this. From a top of the arc free kick, we're going to put 3 guys. And that might seem like a lot. Now with that, if they play the ball here, this guy needs to be the first guy to break off. And he needs to be like barrel rolling out of there, right? He needs to be sprinting out and giving his body to block that shot. You should have bloody knees after the game, right? This guy too, running out to block that shot as hard as he can. These 2 guys are preventing any sort of a split ball that could be played. If the ball is here and these 2 guys are tucked too far wide, they might be able to split and play a ball in here. So you guys are more compact just inside the box here and taking away any option. Really, this wall, these 3 people on the wall from this distance prevent the shot, are the first to commit wide. And then also, those are really the 2 main options that teams are going to play. If they do play a ball down low to somewhere in here, this guy needs to fully commit to it. Same thing, if they play a ball to like someone down here, this guy needs to fully commit. So recognizing inner defensive shape as we set up, all right, all the possibilities, what could happen if we lose the ball, or sorry, if we block the shot and we just like clear the ball out and it ends up in this area, who's my guy? And then once I have my guy, communicating that to the other players. Hey, I've got number 9. Hey, I've got 10. Hey, I've got 2. whatever number it is, ahead of time. So that way we all know, we don't grab the same guy and then just easily they get the ball here and everyone's all picking up everyone and you're hanging out in no man's land up here and they have a wide open guy back post and play him. And then you get yelled at because you didn't mark anybody. So communicate. There needs to be communication. If you're not loud, you need to be loud. Some defensive notes, outside players on the wall. As I mentioned, if the ball's passed in your direction, you need to commit and communicate. Any questions for top of the arc free kicks before we move on? Even comments or things we should maybe consider. All right. To move on, what I would like to do is we have 5 minutes left in this call. It's 9:11 right now. 5 minutes left in this call. Lucas has his hand raised. Yes.
Sorry, I was just curious if, like, for the player that goes to block one of the angled shots after the arc free kick, should they try to block the near post or like the far post, or just everywhere and everywhere, just like try and just to cut down the angle?
Talking about the three in the wall?
Yes, like if you're going out to like block one of the layoff shots.
Yeah. So, okay. So let me say this, and if I'm wrong, correct me. Your question is, if the goalkeeper is setting up these three in the wall, should they be directly in the center or should they be off center? Is that what you're saying?
No, sorry. I know that they should be in the center. Just like, say like the ball is like laid off to like my left, and then like the player on like the left of the wall goes to block the shot. Are they just trying to close out the angle as fast as possible, or are they trying to block just like a far post shot? If that makes sense. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to get out there as quick as possible, especially that they're so close to our goal. Making sure that we're able to cut down the angle as quick as possible and not allow them to have a wide open shot from this close. What's that?
Oh yeah, just like, yeah, that makes sense. That like answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah. So even when the top of the arc free kick, when it's taken, if you know the guy's left-footed and he's lining up, okay, a left-footed player, you might want to angle the wall. You might want to not set up exactly in the center. You might want to move over this way a little bit, because if the goalie has the wall set up directly in the middle too, the goalie can't really see anything. So you might want to angle the wall as needed, take off one of the posts, and recognize that if you're in the wall, stand firm, don't turn away. Recognize you have a responsibility of being in the wall and not letting the ball go through you in the wall. If the wall is being set up, you're turning halfway and it goes between you and ends up scoring, that's your fault. Okay. Brandon. Brandon, you have a question?
Yes, I just wanted to go over the corner kicks again.
Corner kicks?
Yes, I wanted to go over corner kicks.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the corner kicks here.
Okay, I didn't know we were gonna. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll wait for that then.
So yeah, I'm gonna reset this and we're going to continue. For those of you guys that can stay, I'm gonna talk about 3-line free kicks as well as from the corner and knowing where to be and what everyone's role is. My anticipation for this weekend, it's going to be a close game and it might come down to execution on free kicks. That's why I'm taking this seriously. It's going to be a good game. I think that we can do this, but I think it's going to come a lot to the very specific things. And if we can win, if we do get a blue card, if we can kill that power play, if we do get top of the arc free kick, that we put it away, if they get great chances, that we're able to commit fully and make blocks and make saves in order to keep us in the game. So yeah, I'm going to advance that in a few seconds here. One of the questions, can offensive player stay just next to the wall? Yes, they can. Offensive player is allowed to be next to the wall. And what happens sometimes is, like, you'll see, let's say the ball's played to 3. Sometimes some teams will have number 5 like run up and like set a little bit of a screen on this far side guy and then play the ball here so that guy can't break off, right? He might just stand there and get in his way. What happens sometimes too is sometimes this guy is a little bit further back and number 3 comes in and sets the screen and 5 gets a wide open look. So there's a bunch of different iterations of what can happen from this, but by this initial setup, we can at least start to identify some of the good things that we can do and actually execute on them. Moving on to the third line. Okay, if we have a free kick from the third line right here, what's happened is the other team has gotten the ball in zone 1 and played a ball in the air to zone 4. And we now have this kick here, or superstructure, which means if you hear the word superstructure, that means it hits the net on the top, or a random wire hanging down from the ceiling, or a scoreboard, or hit something that shouldn't be there, but is there. In some of these arenas, you see the MASL, the top division, you see them playing in these wide open arenas. The goalkeeper can chuck the ball up really high and long. Here, in a lot of the fields that we play against, the ceiling's quite low compared to that, which then doesn't allow you to throw the ball as far or kick the ball as high. So just be aware of that. Be aware that that could lead to them having a free kick right here. Brian's favorite term, yes, superstructure. So with that, very similar setup to the top of the arc free kick. Oh man, I just saw that picture of Jose on the bottom. Jose looks super professional in the shirt and tie there. Looking good, Jose. So when this ball is played from the top of the arc, the third line, a similar ball, obviously the angle is a little different. We've gotten good opportunities on this, but we haven't scored as many goals on this from obvious reasons. It's easier to set up against. It's easier to defend because they're further back, right? Thank you. So from that, when the ball is played out, once again, this player is right-footed, this guy's left-footed, a lot of the same attacking notes from the top of the arc free kick, but something that might be on that's happened frequently, these guys are more likely to be open because they're given more space. They're not cramped in this little, if you look in this example, kind of cramped in here. It's sometimes hard to squeeze the ball past the wall. But in this case right here, right, if they commit one guy, if they have 2 on the wall from this distance, which really they should have 2 on the wall, they might leave one of these guys open and unmarked, and we want to make sure to take advantage of it. So with that, 2 and 3, put yourself in scoring positions, be ready, stay a little bit like further back. In the same example with the top of the arc free kick, they weren't standing really close. They had a bit of run up to the ball, not a ton, but like anticipating the ball is being played to them, even if they don't get it. It says ready for the ball square played into the square in the illustration. Don't just stand where you've been told to and be like, all right, I'm here. I got, Josh told me to stand in this position and I'm going to stand here and the ball's going to get kicked. Like anticipate the ball is actually going to come to you. 4 and 5 in different plays. As I mentioned before, you might be asked to step away from the wall and be given a decent angle shot because now there is some more space for you. And we'll go through those iterations on game day too, but this is just some basics. And yeah, just exactly what I just said, 4 and 5 have more room and greater possibility of being open. Be ready for those balls played to you. If you're standing there against the wall and just, oh yeah, number 2 or number 3 are going to score, you should be like anticipating, hey, look, I can score off this opportunity. And also given the more space, when that ball is played out to 2, right? Number 3 needs to realize his defensive responsibility might be tracking back here with 1. The same thing when the ball is played with 3, 2 might be the guy that's tracking back a little further to help prevent the counterattack. From a defensive standpoint, okay, this is going to be our common setup. We're going to put 2 on the wall and anticipate that identify on the field who is their best shot taker. Most players are right-footed. So most of the time, this ball is played somewhere in here for a right-footed guy to hit, right? So knowing the setup, we're going to put 2 on the wall. If they have this exact same setup as us, this guy on the left of the wall is ready to break as hard as he can to cover his man. Imagine they have a guy here, 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 and here, right? That when this ball is played out, he's breaking hard and he's looking to block that shot if they are winding up to take a shot. We have one player on that side too that's going to offer support. These 2 guys are positioned very specifically. I didn't just drag and drop these guys randomly on the page. This guy is going to be right where the top of the arc and line meets, recognizing that if the wall is shifted a little bit this way, that they are not able to play an easy split pass. This guy is more central, able to take that pass away. And then this guy is ready to break, already kind of cheating out that way a little bit, getting ready for that kick. If you recognize, hey, they've set up and they took it and they took a good free kick from that area last time, then let's make sure that we identify that shot taker and commit a resource to them. So with that, this is how we're going to set up. Goalkeepers, take note, from a 3 line, we're going to put 2 on the wall instead of 3. And those 2 people are going to set up. And the other guys are going to set up like this, anticipating they're going to take a shot here from this side. If their shot taker is left-footed, then we just put a mirror image of this. We have 2 guys on the wall, one guy cheating towards a left-footed shot taker on this side, and then this replicated mirror image on the other side. Okay. Some defending notes. Our default is to anticipate who the shot takers are, who the dangerous players are, and make sure this left pocket, right? This right here is being taken care of. That this area right in here, the left pocket's very dangerous. That this guy's going to hit a shot. So that's why we've committed more resources to there. The player on the side of the wall is ready to commit as hard as he can. As I mentioned, he's going to run out there hard trying to block that shot. This guy, we want him to be a quick player, someone that is quite defensive minded and is going to be able to get out there quickly, right? We don't want the slowest player on the field to be this guy on the wall, right? So just letting you guys know what to anticipate. That was the 3rd line. Any questions when it comes to where to set up from attacking perspective or defensively?
Hey, Josh, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, just real quick. I think this is applicable for the top of the arc kick as well, but just defensively, obviously I'm always usually thinking defensively first, but if there's a free kick that we give away just from like a foul in the game on Saturday, or really any game, if it's in a similar location to the top of the arc kick or in a similar location to where the 3 line kick would be taken from, we should all just kind of know and remember that we're going to be treating it in terms of quick setup and just even, having 2 or 3 in the wall and the other guys where they would be, just treat it very similar to what we've already trained on with those 2 things, right? So instead of scrambling, trying to figure it out, if it's 2 inches from where the top of the arc kick would be, let's set up as if it's a top of the arc kick, just so that we're all in the right spot quickly.
Right, correct. And you've put the pieces together in that, in the same way that you hear someone yell out, hey, treat it like a corner, or someone say,
Yep.
like, treat it like a throw-in on the outside, set up like a throw-in. And for outdoor soccer and arena soccer, we'll be like, hey, treat it like a top of the arc free kick, treat it like a 3 line, right? Set up in that manner. So, if it happens like right here, right, foul happens here, you might hear me say, hey, treat it like a 3 line. If they get a free kick right here, right, hey, treat it like a top of the arc free kick. And that's why, like, in these 3, top of the arc free kick, 3 line, and then corner, everything else can kind of like be shifted in relation to knowing these 3 setups, because they're all different. But then once we set up in this so many times, we recognize, all right, we should set up like this, and just gets ingrained in your head. And you do it over and over and over again. And maybe in the future, we even have sessions where the entire time we're just setting up in set pieces. The thing is, we have a lot of guys, obviously, and I don't want to like waste people's time where you just stand there the entire time. I'd rather spend that time in Zoom calls and you guys be active. So great question, Brady. That will be something that, just to echo what he said, if it's somewhere in a similar location, treat it like that location. The goalkeeper will communicate that, or the bench, not anyone on the bench, but like I'll communicate that, or someone who's a leader will communicate that. Perfect timing. Speaking of leaders, speaking of communication, speaking of Beretti, I would like, and I haven't spoken too much about this year with him specifically, but I would like for Beretti to wear our captain armband for our first game of the season, and Brady captain us for this season. And, you know, Brady's done a great job with us so far this year. I will continue to reiterate this in person, but I think it's important to know before a game starts who your leaders are, who you listen to, especially in these types of situations. You listen to the goalkeeper, you listen to me, you listen to people that have been around for a while, and most specifically, you listen to your captain. Brady, I'm going to have you lead us as you've done already without that title so well. You know, people look at you with respect. The way that you talk to other people, the way you walk alongside other people, continue to build up people around you. I think you're the perfect example of what we want in this club. So Brady's going to wear the captain's armband this season for his commitment, for his overall desire, his play. And I know he's going to do a great job this season. So we'll talk about it more in person when we get there to the game, but anticipate him to lead us in many ways as he already has been. So just wanted to share that. It was on my mind. So with that, our corner kick is going to be set up like this. We have our 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 being the guy on the ball, 2 being the most likely person to get the ball on this kick, and 3 being the next most likely player, the 4th being the 4th dangerous player, and 5th just playing back and reset. Okay. So let me talk about each of these. You know, first, different options that you might have off a corner. Recognize that in many ways off our futsal play, corner play that we've ran, we have different numbers for them. But one of the plays that we've run, you know, this guy has ran through and set a screen, and this guy rolled and taken a shot. In arena soccer, that's a little bit more dangerous to do, just because, you know, a shot in futsal that goes over or goes wide goes out, but in arena soccer that ball bangs off and then they end up countering off of us. It's happened before as well. So with that, as we recognize different patterns, we'll change things up, and maybe we do run that play frequently, but do identify that even sometimes a simple ball back here and a shot might be open. If they're setting up, you know, guys in the wall, this might be an easy, like, hey, shot on goal. Another very popular option is this guy that's 3 might just check in this box right here. No one guard him, play a ball in for an easy tap in. Corners of the 3, you know, arena soccer corner isn't the best location in the world. It would be a little better if the ball was like set up like right there. That would be pretty dangerous, but being close to the wall and being in this position, sometimes it's hard to, you feel kind of stuck in the corner. You almost just want to get out. So, you know, you have sometimes guys set up in the wall, they're not paying attention, leave a gap. This guy that was back post was being ignored, and maybe his defender just like wasn't paying attention to him and ball watching. And this guy slide in here for an easy tap in. Happens even at the next level. Guys that just tune off for a split second. This guy lines up like he's gonna play at the 2, sees 3, plays a split pass, boom, easy goal. Okay, so 4 will be a ball over top, and it's like a nice little chip. The guy who's on 4 will start a little bit, maybe even a little bit deeper than this picture shows, right? And it'll be a ball over top that lands somewhere in this area that this guy can run onto, preferably right-footed, and hit it first time in the air, right? We've done this play in futsal frequently. The ball's been over the top. And the last option is, hey, look, if they're set up super compact and I don't know, they're cheating and have a guy right here taking away the space, maybe we just play back, reset, and play to this side. And that's always an option. So from a corner, you might have different options. Maybe even if you're here and they're just like not even setting up a wall, you might just take your shot, right? If you find an angle. But what needs to happen is recognizing that this is a frequent location for a kick here, and then the over the top ball. So whoever this one is looking for those three options. Worst case, can play back and we can reset. Okay. So number 2 would be a light lay off the 2. It says another option would be 2 goes in and sets the screen for 5 to take the shot. If that were to happen, then 4 needs to make sure he tracks back fast, and 5, after he takes that shot, so if that ball like goes wide and rolls around, 5 needs to immediately track back too. Okay. Another option mentioned, 3 sneaks in the box, 4 of the top. 1 can shoot the ball if the wall is not set up, and you can always reset with 5. So with that, moving on to the defensive standpoint, notice we're going to do something a little differently this year. We're going to cheat. The reason why, let me see what's going on. Time on corners, 4 seconds. You have 4 seconds for every restart. Goalkeepers have 4 seconds with the ball at their feet even. So just the common number, 4. We're going to cheat. We're not going to set up in the shape that we should typically set in, because in watching film from last year, a lot of teams not knowing what they're doing on corners, a lot of them play this easy pass right here for a shot. And sometimes they get easy shots on goal because we're all set up along this white line. We're all set up right here, even backed in a little bit, maybe even here. And they just play an easy ball here for a shot and they score. And we're like, what the heck? And we're too far away to even commit to it. So we're going to cheat a little bit because I feel like we can. What's going to happen is this line's going to be slightly diagonal out this way. So that way, when they have this free kick, if they do play a ball there, that number 2 can commit as hard as they can. That this third guy in the wall here too, is also kind of like packing him in so he can't play a ball that's flat to the top of the 3 line right here. That we're kind of boxing them in a little bit and at the same time taking that option. So they would have to either play a ball over top or play a ball out here for a shot, which is way less dangerous than a shot from this pocket right here that seems to happen all the time. The more I watch film from last year, I'm just like, man, like we are set up so poorly in some of these situations where a lot of times we're in the right position where we should be, but we just can't get there. So 1, we're going to cheat. 2, we're going to make sure we're set up in these positions defensively so that way we're not giving up dumb kicks. This guy is going to stand somewhere, I guess to start off here, there's going to be space between the wall and this guy. It was hard to squeeze all this in here because these shapes were bigger. There's going to be space. So this guy is not like giving him, hey, kick the ball off the wall and let it bounce around in here, but giving probably like this much room off the wall so the goalkeeper can see what's going on. Okay, there's a little bit of a gap between these guys too. This guy's main responsibility, same thing as futsal, is to make sure like the goalie should cover anything in here, but this guy should cover everything from here to him. This guy's responsibility is to cover any kick that's being taken here and any split ball that's being tried to play through here. He's immediately cutting that off. And this guy is making sure that if any ball is played out to this third line, he's the first person out there. When Q was around, Q used to be this guy for futsal a lot. He'd just sprint out and be that first guy to put pressure on you. This guy is cutting off any split. If the ball does get through for some reason, something dumb, he's the first to be there to clear it. And then we have someone that's man marking the guy back post. He's goal side of him, making sure that he's there. And the same option too, what happens is this guy's cutting off any option here, but if the ball is played over top, he's the first person sprinting as fast as he can. This guy right here, as fast as he can to put pressure on that guy and testing his touch. Okay. So that's the responsibilities. Just going through his defensive notes, defensive player closest to the wall, leave space. I went through all these already, so I'm not going to read them word for word. Important note, before the ball is played, identify your man, recognize who your man is. Once the ball is played, react to the ball being played. Don't just stand there in your original position. Making sure that you're not just in your zone, like I mentioned in previous examples. In the assignment portion, there are a lot of examples. Some of you guys, most of you guys have already done the assignment and you don't have to redo it. But there's lots of examples of different free kicks. A lot of them are top of the arc free kicks and goals that are scored. And I encourage you to watch through them. Just notice that a lot of goals are scored from these set pieces, right? A lot of goals. Sometimes the team that is better at setting up defensively or better at taking these set pieces is the one that wins the game in an evenly matched game. And I think it's something that we need to continue to take seriously. And that is the set pieces project.